Monday, and I'm actually on here. I was going to talk about the third one on the list, but I was actually asked if I would talk about fear of starting over. And that's definitely one that I've had a lot of experience with, and I feel like I can resonate with. So if I can resonate with it, I'm sure that a lot of you can as well. The person that asked me if I could guess, it would probably be around having kids and having to start over. And so I know for me, that was probably one of the hardest seasons of my life. Although having a baby is such a beautiful thing and there's so many amazing things about it, the process of when you find out you're pregnant and, for someone who works so hard at their job and when you build this life, that you think it's going to go a certain way and then you get pregnant, your whole world changes. And yes, it's positive, but it also comes with a lot of fears. And so, you step away from everything that you've known and you go and you start this new role as, a mom or dad or however that looks. And you get into kind of this like new world, you learn new things. And then all of a sudden it's time for you to go back and you have to start over. And everything that you thought before, just everything is different. And you go to work and you feel like no one understands you, that no one could possibly feel what you're feeling. You feel alone, you feel insecure. All of your worst fears just get like hammered on top of you. And on top of that, you feel like you're starting from scratch. And so in this process, you can just feel very unsure and confused. And I think that if you're in that space, it can be very challenging. And I think like no matter what fear it is, like I think starting over encompasses so many different fears that we've talked about. And we have to understand that the root of all of these things is fear. So however it manifests itself in your life, like it's all fear. And so what we need to do when we come up and we're faced against fear is just look at it and say, what is the challenge here? What is it throwing at me? What do I have to overcome? What are the tools that I need to get through this? And what are the mindset shifts that I need to have in order to get through? And so I think when it comes to starting over, we just have to think about it differently. And I would think about it kind of like, when you have to move and I would think that we should all do this a couple of times a year because it can be a really good thing. But when you're moving, you start looking at everything that you have because you have to pack it. And there's two different types of packers. There's the packers that just throw everything into a box and then they just put it at the house and they're like, I'll deal with it when I get there. But if you've done that a couple times, you realize that it's a lot easier to deal with it as you go through it. So you pack, you take inventory, you're like, I have 2 spatulas, I don't need 2 spatulas, you get rid of it, I have too many books, I'm gonna donate them, clothes, whatever it is. You start stripping the things away that you don't need and you only keep the things that you need and the things that serve you. And so then you move into your new place and you're excited to move into your new place. It's still a lot of work. You have to unpack everything. But when you start unpacking things, it's a different feeling because you know that you're only bringing the things that you need and the things that are going to carry you through that season of your life. So it becomes a little bit less stressful. So as you move, you know that you have everything that you need to get going. And I think sometimes we have to think about starting over that way. It's like everything from your past experience of your job or whatever that may be, you can put the things that didn't serve you from that job into a box and you can just push it away and you can take it to the side and then you can just build off of the things that you know that you need, the things that you've learned. Like you don't realize, for those of you who've been home on a mat leave, let's say, how many lessons you learned in that year, how many perspective shifts you've had, how many mind changes that you've had that will carry you into whatever you do next. You will be amazing at multitasking in ways you didn't think that you could. You just don't realize how your experiences create these new skills in you, and you won't know until you put them into practice. So when you have to start over, instead of being afraid of it, be excited that you get to reinvent yourself, that you get to go into it stronger and more confident, and you need to lean into that. And right now I hear it a lot. The world is going through so many changes, and so a lot of people have been laid off from their jobs, which can be absolutely awful and devastating. And there's a lot of people that I've journeyed through with, and people that have lost their jobs. And I would say most often, the job that they had, they didn't even love. And it was a job that they would have stayed in because it was comfortable and they made good money and it was secure. And so when they get pushed from that job, all of a sudden they're like, I don't know who I am anymore. And I don't know where I'm going or what that looks like. but it's a push that they probably never would have done on their own. And so what I often see happen is a season where it's frustrating and it's stressful and all of the stuff is being challenged in them. But when they come out the other end, they usually end up in a job that is far more suited to them, that just really ignites their passions and who they are. And so I think sometimes, especially for men, it can be so hard to lose your job. And I think, it's just partly how men are wired, is to just provide and to work. And I think that oftentimes men and women, we can put our purpose in our job. And so when we lose our job, we don't know what our purpose is anymore. But you need to find what your purpose is outside of your job. Your job is just a vehicle. So you can bring your purpose to your job. So no matter what the vehicle is, you can still live in that purpose. So I think sometimes having to start over and go backwards means you get to reset and you get to think about, what is it from before? Like if you're on a mat leave and you get a year off, what was it before that I didn't like? Maybe you were working too many hours and now you have kids and you don't want to work those hours. You can start taking account to the things that you want to keep and the things that you want to get rid of, so that when you then look for this new job, or whether you go back to your old job, you set different boundaries and you ask for different things. And so I think that as we go into these new spaces of our lives, like, get excited, go into it, take the time to figure out what it is that you need, who are you, and where are you going, and what are the things that are going to serve you in that journey, and get excited to get into that. So, for all of you guys, especially those coming up on mat leave, I know that there are a lot of women that go through this, and I say women because generally it is women that take the most time off, but this can be men too. Just grab a hold of all of those things that you have learned in this space. For anyone who's been laid off, take hold of the lessons. Don't take them for granted. Being able to be home and in a space where you get to think with clarity is going to serve you so much further in the future, and you will end up starting a business. It may push you to start a business or to go for that job that you never thought, because what the heck, you might as well apply. And you may find that fear of starting over becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. So I encourage you all to just shift the way that you think about having to start over. Thank you for watching, and I will be back next Monday. Let's just call it Motivational Mondays. Mwah!